The stars shimmered against the blackness of space as the massive alien ship eased into orbit around Earth's moon. Inside the ship, 7 different alien species stood in a semicircle, their bodies varying from tall, slender forms to short, stocky figures. They all watched the main screen as a small human shuttle approached their vessel. "They are punctual." "That is unexpected," said Zaktal, the High Arbiter of the Venerabi species. His blue translucent skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns that indicated mild surprise. "Primitive species often compensate with enthusiasm," replied Counselor Vex of the reptilian Draki. Her scaled face remained expressionless, but her tail swished with impatience. The aliens represented the Galactic Conclave, a coalition of 17 advanced species that had governed the Orion arm of the galaxy for over 5,000 years. Today marked their first official contact with humanity, a species that had surprisingly developed faster than light travel, much sooner than the Conclave's predictions. The human shuttle docked with a soft hiss. After pressure equalized, the airlock door slid open. Captain Laura Bennett of the Earth Defense Force stepped through, followed by 4 officers. Laura was 42 years old, with short brown hair and alert eyes that missed nothing. She wore a crisp blue uniform adorned only with a small Earth insignia. "Welcome aboard the galactic vessel Harmony," said Zekatal through his translation device. "I am High Arbiter Zekatal of the Venerabi, and we represent the Galactic Conclave." Laura nodded. "Captain Laura Bennett, Earth Defense Force, thank you for the invitation." The meeting chamber was designed to impress. Vaulted ceilings reached 20 meters high. Strange alien art decorated the walls. The lighting adjusted automatically to the most comfortable setting for human eyes. "Please, be seated." Zekatal gestured to a small table clearly designed for beings of human size. Laura took her seat while her officers stood behind her. She placed a small data pad on the table. "I understand you have a proposal for Earth." Zekatal's skin flashed with patterns that the humans couldn't interpret. "Yes. The Conclave has established protocols for welcoming new spacefaring species into our galactic community." A holographic display activated above the table. It showed various star systems and trade routes. "The Conclave maintains peace across 342 inhabited worlds," Zekatal continued. "We have done so for millennia through careful management of technology, resources, and territorial boundaries." Laura listened without expression as Zekatal outlined the terms. Earth would receive limited technological assistance. Humans would be restricted to their solar system for the next 50 years. All human scientific advancements would require Conclave approval before implementation. In exchange, Earth would receive protection and eventual membership in the Conclave. When Zekatal finished, Laura remained silent for several moments. "Is there a question, Captain Bennett?" asked Counselor Vex. "No question," Laura replied calmly. "I'm just considering how to respond diplomatically to these terms." "They are standard for all emerging species," said Zekatal. "The Conclave has welcomed 26 new species in the last millennium." Laura straightened in her chair. "And all accepted these terms?" "Of course," replied Zekatal. "The alternative is isolation." Laura tapped her data pad. "High Arbiter, Earth, appreciates the Conclave's offer. However, we must decline these terms." The chamber went completely silent. Several aliens exchanged glances. "Perhaps you misunderstand," said Zekatal, his skin now pulsing with rapid patterns. "These are not negotiable terms. They are the established protocol for emerging species." "I understand perfectly," said Laura. "But humans don't accept being treated as children requiring supervision." "It is not about supervision," said Counselor Vex, stepping forward. "It is about proper integration into a complex galactic society." Laura stood. "Earth has survived nuclear war threats, climate disasters, artificial intelligence challenges, and our own violent tendencies. We did this without outside help. We won't accept restrictions on our development now." "This is most unusual," said another alien, a gas-based entity contained in a floating mechanical sphere. "No species has ever rejected Conclave terms." "Consider what you're saying," warned Zekatal. "Without Conclave recognition, you will have no protection, No trade, no allies. Laura smiled slightly. We've managed alone so far. We're willing to continue if necessary. She tapped her datapad again and a holographic image appeared above the table. It showed Earth's defense fleet, 47 ships of various sizes. Not impressive by your standards, I'm sure, said Laura. But there's something you should know. She tapped again, and the image zoomed in on one of the ships. Technical specifications appeared beside it. The alien representatives leaned forward, their expressions changing as they processed the information. This cannot be accurate, said the gas entity. These shield specifications exceed Conclave standard designs. And these weapon systems, Counselor Vex hissed, they should be beyond your technological level. Yet here they are, said Laura, developed independently by human scientists. How? Demanded Zaktal. Necessity and determination, Laura replied. Earth's counterproposal is simple. We seek recognition as equals from the start, immediate trade rights, no restrictions on our scientific development, no limitations on our expansion, though we're willing to respect established territories. Impossible, Zaktal declared. You are a juvenile species. You require guidance. Laura's expression hardened. She stood and faced the delegation directly. We didn't survive our own nuclear age, climate collapse, and AI singularity to be treated as children, she said firmly. Humanity accepts no masters. She gathered her datapad and nodded to her officers. Together, they turned toward the exit. This meeting is not concluded, called Zaktal, his translator struggling to convey his tone. Laura paused at the doorway and looked back. I believe it is. My shuttle departs in 15 minutes. If the Conclave wishes to discuss terms between equals, Earth remains open to those conversations. And if we don't? Asked Counselor Vex. Then we'll find our own path among the stars, Laura replied, as we always have. After the humans departed, the alien representatives exploded into argument. Unprecedented. Dangerous. Fascinating. Zaktal raised his hands for silence. In 5,000 years, no species has ever rejected conclave terms. Their technology, said the gas entity. How did they advance so quickly? More importantly, said Counselor Vex, what else might they be capable of that we don't know about? Back on the shuttle, Laura sat silently as they disengaged from the alien vessel. You think they'll come around? Asked her pilot, Sam Rivera. Laura watched the massive conclave ship through the viewport. They'll have to. We're not going away, and we're not going to be second-class citizens in the galaxy. What if they decide we're a threat? Asked another officer. Then they'd be right, Laura said with a slight smile. But not because we want to be. We just want what every species deserves, the freedom to chart our own course. As the shuttle headed back to Earth, the Conclave representatives were already sending urgent messages to their homeworlds. Humanity had just changed the galactic order, and no one knew what would happen next. 3 months passed since the first meeting between humans and the Galactic Conclave. During this time, the Conclave had sent 17 messages to Earth. Each one repeated their original terms with only minor changes. Earth had politely rejected all of them. On the command deck of the Earth Defense Force headquarters in Geneva, Commander Alan Harding received an urgent alert. He was a tall man with a gray beard and steady hands that had guided Earth through many crises. Sir, we've detected an unknown vessel entering Europa's atmosphere, reported Lieutenant Susan Miller. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. It matches conclave design. Alan frowned. Have they responded to our communication attempts? No, sir. We've sent 15 messages on all frequencies. They're ignoring us. Alan studied the display showing Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Europa was special to humans. Its subsurface ocean contained the first extraterrestrial life discovered by humanity. Simple bacteria, but precious nonetheless. All nations had agreed that Europa would remain protected and untouched. Contact Defense Minister Wells immediately, Allen ordered, and prepare the Washington for emergency deployment. Within an hour, Defense Minister Patricia Wells joined an emergency video conference with global leaders. She was a former admiral with a reputation for directness. "The situation is clear," she said. "A conclave vessel has entered Europa's atmosphere without permission and refuses all communication. They were warned repeatedly that Europa is a protected sanctuary." "What are they doing there?" asked the European Union president. "Preliminary. Scans suggest they're collecting samples from Europa's subsurface ocean," Patricia replied. "Exactly what we prohibited in our space boundaries communication. Perhaps they don't understand the importance," began another leader. "They understand perfectly," Patricia interrupted. "This is a deliberate test of our resolve." After 30 minutes of discussion, the vote was nearly unanimous. Patricia contacted Commander Harding with new orders. "Deploy the Washington. Captain Delgado is authorized to use necessary force to stop their activities and remove them from Europa's space." The EDF destroyer Washington was humanity's newest warship. Captain Frank Delgado received his orders while the ship was already accelerating toward Jupiter. He gathered his crew on the bridge. "Our mission is clear," Frank told them. "The Conclave is violating our sovereignty. We will enforce our boundaries." Lieutenant Maria Garcia spoke up. "Sir, the Conclave ship is much larger than ours." "Size isn't everything, Lieutenant," Frank replied with a small smile. "Remember your training." The Washington approached Europa 16 hours later. The alien vessel continued its operations, ignoring all warnings. "Final warning has been ignored, sir," reported Communications Officer Kyle Johnson. Frank nodded. "Target their propulsion system only. Precision strike." The Washington fired a single energy pulse. It hit the alien ship's engines with surprising accuracy. The Conclave vessel shuddered and went dark as its power systems failed. "Direct hit. Their systems are offline," reported Weapons Officer Diane Lewis. "No sign of hull breach." "Prepare. Boarding teams," ordered Frank. "Full environmental suits and standard protocols." 20 minutes later, Frank led a team of 12 officers onto the Conclave vessel. They moved through corridors filled with strange technology and air that wasn't meant for human lungs. The alien crew, mostly Venerabi with a few Draki, watched, in shock as the humans secured the ship. In the main laboratory, Frank discovered the reason for their mission. Hundreds of sample containers held water from Europa's ocean. Complex equipment analyzed the microorganisms found there. Frank took images of everything and transmitted them back to Earth. "We found what they were after. They're studying Europa's bacteria extensively." "Secure all research materials," came the reply from Commander Harding. "We're sending Dr. Rodriguez to examine their findings." 2 days later, the Conclave Grand Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from all 17 senior species gathered in their ornate chamber on the capital world of Axios Prime. News of the human attack had spread quickly. "This is outrageous," declared Senior Counselor Thrix of the insectoid Vexpali. "A Conclave scientific vessel attacked without provocation. The humans must be punished," agreed another representative. "Such barbarism cannot be tolerated." High Arbiter Zekatal, who had led the first contact mission, raised his hand for silence. "Before we proceed, the humans have requested to address the Council." Murmurs of surprise filled the chamber. By tradition, non-member species weren't permitted to address the full council until they had completed at least 10 cycles of observation status. "Allowing them to speak would violate our oldest traditions," objected a representative. "Perhaps," said Zuktal, "but considering their willingness to use force, hearing them may be wise." The council reluctantly agreed. A communication channel opened and Dr. Sofia Rodriguez appeared on the large display. She was Earth's leading expert on alien biology. "Esteemed Council," she began, "I understand your concern regarding our actions at Europa. However, I must bring something important to your attention." She held up a data device. "We've analyzed the research being conducted by your vessel. It wasn't simple scientific exploration." Sophia activated a series of images showing the Conclave laboratory. "These equipment configurations are designed for weapons development. Your scientists were testing Europa's microorganisms for military applications. The council chamber erupted in confusion. Several members demanded the transmission be cut. "That's a baseless accusation," shouted the Draki representative. Sophia remained calm. "We've already decrypted the ship's research logs. The mission was specifically testing Europa's unique bacteria for potential as biological agents against silicon-based life forms." She displayed the translated logs. "According to your own Conclave Charter, Section 12, biological weapons research is forbidden." Complete silence fell over the council. "We may be new to your galactic community," Sophia continued, "but we've dealt with colonial powers before. Never again will we allow our resources to be exploited or our boundaries ignored." The Venerable ambassador attempted to dismiss the evidence. "These are manufactured claims. The humans lack the technology to decrypt our secure logs." Sophia activated another holographic display showing the complete ship's research log. "We understand your technology better than you think." Before anyone could respond, accusations began flying across the council chamber. The Draki accused the Venerable of conducting illegal research. The Venerable claimed they were acting on council intelligence. 3 other species demanded independent investigations. In the chaos that followed, the transmission from Earth was almost forgotten. The Conclave's carefully maintained image of unity was cracking under the pressure of human directness. Back on Earth, Sophia turned off the transmission and looked at Defense Minister Patricia Wells. "Well, that went about as expected," Sophia said. Patricia nodded. "They've been hiding things from each other for centuries. All it took was a little push to start the avalanche." "What happens next?" asked Sophia. "They'll be busy fighting among themselves for a while," Patricia replied, "which gives us time for the next phase." "The independent worlds?" "Exactly. While the Conclave argues, we'll build our own alliances." Patricia looked at the star map on her wall. "They've been treating dozens of species as second-class citizens. I think those species might appreciate our more direct approach." As night fell over Geneva, news arrived that 3 minor Conclave species had already sent private messages requesting meetings with human representatives. The galactic order was beginning to shift. The Conclave headquarters on Axios Prime had not known peace for weeks. Arguments between species had escalated from verbal disputes to formal accusations. 3 senior representatives had been removed from their positions. Through it all, humanity made no further contact with the Conclave leadership. Instead, Earth focused elsewhere. Major Gregory Patel stood on the observation deck of his ship, the Explorer, looking at the strange world below. The planet Noros was covered in swirling patterns of blue and green. No oceans existed here. The entire surface was one massive organism, a fungal hive mind that had evolved intelligence over millions of years. "Are you certain about this approach, Major?" asked Lieutenant Eva Chen. "The Conclave protocols for first meetings with the Noros require 17 days of atmospheric hovering before contact." Greg smiled. "We're not the Conclave, Lieutenant. We do things differently." He was 48, with dark skin and gray at his temples. After 20 years in diplomacy, Greg had learned that directness often achieved more than ceremony. "The shuttle is ready, sir," reported Officer Ben Wilson. "Let's not keep them waiting," Greg replied. The Noros had been Conclave members for over 800 years, yet they had never held council seats. The fungal species controlled vast mining operations across 12 worlds, but were treated as workers rather than equals. When the human shuttle landed on the designated platform, there was no welcoming committee. Instead, the platform itself shifted and formed a rough approximation of a humanoid shape. The fungal mass contained millions of tiny spores that glowed with inner light. "We are Noros," came a voice that seemed to originate from the air itself. "You are not Conclave. Explain." Greg made the universal greeting gesture that Earth had adopted for all alien contacts. Hands open, palms forward. "I am Major Gregory, Patel of Earth. We come seeking direct relations with the Noros, independent of the Conclave." The fungal shape rippled. "Unprecedented. Conclave law forbids independent relations." "Earth is not bound by Conclave law," Greg replied simply. We choose our own friends. The fungal mass shifted colors, cycling through blues and purples. What do humans seek from Noros? Greg activated a small holographic projector. It displayed medical technology designed specifically for collective organisms. We offer this, he said. Advanced cellular regeneration technology. Our scientists believe it would help the Noros combat the root rot disease affecting your colony on Noros Prime. The fungal entity moved closer, examining the hologram with glowing spores that served as visual sensors. How do you know of the root rot? The Conclave classified this information. We have good intelligence, Greg replied, and unlike the Conclave, we believe in sharing medical advances, not restricting them. What do humans want in exchange? The Noros asked, its tone suspicious. Access to rare mineral deposits from your Cygnus mining operation. Fair market value paid directly to the Noros, not through Conclave intermediaries. The fungal mass was silent for several moments. When it spoke again, its tone had changed. The Conclave takes 22% of all Noros mining profits as administrative fees. They have denied our request for council representation for 8 centuries. You offer fair trade and acknowledge us as equals. We do, Greg confirmed. Earth believes all intelligent species deserve equal treatment. Return tomorrow, the Noros said. We will have our answer. Greg nodded and returned to the shuttle. As they lifted off, Eva looked concerned. Sir, if the Conclave discovers we're negotiating directly with their member worlds, they'll be angry, Greg finished. But what will they do? Their leadership is in chaos, and they've already seen that threats don't work with humans. The next day, the Noros not only accepted the human offer, but proposed additional trade agreements. Similar scenarios played out across the galaxy. The aquatic Mirans, experts in underwater technology, agreed to exchange knowledge with Earth within days. The crystalline Phocera, masters of energy manipulation, followed shortly after. While diplomatic teams built these new alliances, Earth's military wasn't idle. Admiral Kelly Rodriguez oversaw Operation Handshake from the bridge of the EDF flagship Liberty. 50 human vessels conducted training exercises just outside Conclave space. It wasn't meant as a threat, merely a demonstration. Conclave surveillance? Ships detected at coordinates 2-27 Mark 43, reported Tactical Officer Jim Peterson. Kelly nodded. Right on schedule. Let's give them something to think about. The human fleet executed a complex maneuver that brought them into formation facing the hidden Conclave vessels. Open communication channel, Kelly ordered. All frequencies. The main screen activated, showing the startled face of a Draki commander. This is Admiral Kelly Rodriguez of Earth Defense Force. We detected your stealth ships observing our exercises. In the spirit of transparency, we invite your officers to watch openly. There's no need for hiding. The Draki commander's scaled face registered shock. How did you detect our vessels? Our stealth technology is not as effective as you believed, Kelly finished politely. We've been watching the stars for a long time, Commander. After the communication ended, Kelly received an urgent message from Earth Command. The Conclave Military Council had requested an emergency meeting with human representatives. 3 days later, Kelly sat at a table facing 5 alien military leaders on a neutral space station. The Conclave's senior military director, a Thraxian named Vox, spoke first. Admiral Rodriguez, your fleet's capabilities have raised concerns among Conclave leadership. Kelly kept her expression neutral. Our exercises were defensive in nature. Yet, you detected our observation vessels, Vox continued. Technology the Conclave believed was undetectable. We have our methods, Kelly replied simply. What we wish to understand, said another officer, is how humans developed such advanced technology independently. Our records show your species only achieved space travel 2 centuries ago. Kelly leaned forward slightly. We've been watching the stars and preparing for this meeting longer than you realize. You weren't the first visitors to our world. The statement sent visible shock through the alien representatives. Their carefully maintained narrative that the Conclave had discovered humanity was being challenged. Explain, demanded Vox. Throughout our history, other species have visited Earth, Kelly said. Some with good intentions, others without. We learned from these encounters. We prepared. Impossible, said a third officer. All interstellar contact is regulated by the Conclave. No authorized contact with Earth occurred before our official mission. Exactly, Kelly replied with a slight smile. No authorized contact. The implication was clear. Not all species in the galaxy followed Conclave rules. The carefully controlled narrative of Conclave supremacy was crumbling. As the meeting ended, without resolution, Kelly received word that humanity's diplomatic efforts had succeeded beyond expectations. 30 independent worlds had now established direct relations with Earth. The balance of power was shifting rapidly. Back on Earth, the Unified Command gathered to discuss next steps. Defense Minister Patricia Wells summarized their position. The Conclave is fragmenting. Their leadership is divided between those who want to punish humanity and those who recognize the need for change. Meanwhile, we've built alliances with species they've neglected for centuries. What happens when they recover from the shock? Someone asked. Patricia displayed a star map showing human diplomatic and military positions throughout the sector. By then it will be too late. The old order is already dying. Something new is being born. Across the galaxy, word spread of the species that refused to follow the rules, humans who treated others as equals rather than subordinates. For many worlds long oppressed by Conclave hierarchy, it was the first hope of change in centuries. 1 Earth year had passed since first contact. The Galactic Conclave, once a unified governing body, had fractured into 3 competing factions. The traditionalists insisted that humanity must be contained and eventually forced to accept Conclave authority. The reformists argued for accommodation with Earth and changes to Conclave structure. The preservationists wanted to withdraw completely from human space and isolate themselves. On the Thraxian homeworld, Supreme Commander Vox addressed his fellow traditionalists. The Thraxians were a warrior species with tough, ridged skin and eyes that glowed yellow in the dim light of their council chamber. The humans grow more dangerous each day, Vox declared to the gathered representatives. They have formed alliances with 34 Conclave member worlds. They have revealed our secrets. They have undermined our authority. A Draki representative nodded. And yet the reformists continue to argue for peace. Peace, Vox said with disgust. While these humans expand unchecked, they refuse to accept the natural order of the galaxy. The Venerabi ambassador, once a respected diplomat, had joined the traditionalist faction after being disgraced in the Europa incident. We have observed human behavior for 1 full cycle, the Venerabi said. They respond to displays of strength. Their primitive history shows they respect power. The Conclave must demonstrate its power decisively. Vox smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Exactly, which is why we have gathered this battle fleet. The view screen showed 50 Conclave warships gathered in formation. It was the largest military force assembled in 200 years. Our ships will enter the human solar system, Vox continued. We will position ourselves near their outer planets. When faced with overwhelming force, they will recognize their proper place in the galactic hierarchy. What the traditionalists didn't know was that human intelligence had already detected their fleet's movement. In the high-security command center beneath Geneva, Defense Secretary Angela Morrison received the report. Confirmed, said Intelligence Officer Richard Taylor. 50 Conclave vessels on approach to our solar system. Current trajectory suggests they plan to enter near Neptune. Angela, a woman with short gray hair and the calm demeanor of someone who had faced many crises, studied the tactical display. Time to arrival? She asked. Approximately 18 hours at their current speed, Richard replied. Angela nodded. In form. All defense platform crews to prepare for possible engagement. Alert Admiral Reyes to deploy the Sentinel fleet. Should we contact the Conclave Council? Asked her assistant. No, Angela replied. This isn't a council-sanctioned mission. This is the traditionalist faction acting alone. 16 hours later, the Conclave battle fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. They expected to find empty space near Neptune, Instead, they discovered human defense platforms already in place throughout the system, silently tracking their approach. Supreme Commander Vox was surprised, but not deterred. The humans have some defensive capability here. It does not change our plan. On the Conclave flagship's main communication channel, Angela Morrison's face appeared unexpectedly. The transmission had bypassed their security protocols. "Attention, Conclave vessels," she said firmly. "You have entered sovereign human space without authorization. You have 30 minutes to begin withdrawal. After that, we will consider this an act of war." Fox laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the command deck. Typical human bluster. They believe their primitive technology can challenge a Conclave battle fleet. He turned to his weapons officer. "Select one of their outposts on the small, frozen world they call Pluto. Fire a single missile. Show them the consequence of defiance." The missile launched, streaking toward a small human research station on Pluto. It was meant as a demonstration, a warning shot that would destroy an uninhabited outpost. The missile never reached halfway to its target. Without warning, 50 human vessels appeared seemingly from nowhere, surrounding the Conclave fleet. They had been there all along, hidden by technology that the Conclave had believed impossible. Fold space camouflage. The Conclave sensors registered the human ships. Simultaneously, they had not approached. They had simply appeared, as if stepping through a hidden door in space itself. Aboard the EDF flagship Defender, General William Reyes watched the Conclave fleet with steady eyes. He was 60 years old, a veteran of Earth's unification wars who had seen enough conflict to know its cost. "Target their weapon systems," he ordered. "Disable only." His weapons officer hesitated. "Sir, we have tactical advantage. We could eliminate their entire fleet before they can respond." William shook his head. "That's not who we are." Instead of firing, William opened a communication channel that broadcast to every Conclave vessel simultaneously. "This is General William Reyes of the Earth Defense Force," he said calmly. "We could have destroyed your entire fleet before you knew we were here. That's not who we are. But make no mistake, humanity will not bow. Not now. Not ever." The Conclave command deck fell silent as they processed what had happened. Their sensors had failed to detect 50 warships at point-blank range. Their strategic advantage had vanished in an instant. "Return to your territory," William continued. "Prepare for real diplomacy as equals. We will escort you to the edge of our solar system." Supreme Commander Vox raged, but his officers refused to fire. They had seen the human ship's positioning. Each Conclave vessel was covered by multiple human weapons. Any aggressive action would lead to their destruction. As the Conclave fleet turned to withdraw, escorted by human ships, William sent one final message directly to Vox. "We will arrive at the Conclave homeworld in exactly one standard galactic month. We expect the full council to be prepared to negotiate a new relationship, one based on mutual respect." After the Conclave fleet departed, William returned to Earth for an emergency meeting with global leaders. The chamber was tense as he delivered his report. "The traditionalist faction has been humiliated," he explained. "Their strategy relied on intimidation. It failed. This will strengthen the reformist position within the Conclave." "What about your promise to visit their homeworld?" asked a council member. "Was that wise?" "It was necessary," William replied. "We've been reacting to Conclave initiatives for a year. It's time we set the agenda." Angela Morrison stood and addressed the council. "Our intelligence suggests the Conclave is aware of a threat from beyond the galaxy's edge, something they've hidden from their own member worlds. We need access to their central archives to learn more." "A threat?" someone asked. "What kind of threat?" "We don't know yet," Angela said. "But the pattern matches historical human behavior, the powerful withholding information from those they consider less important. If something is coming, all species deserve to know, not just the Conclave elite." The council voted unanimously to approve the diplomatic mission to Axios Prime. Ambassador Olivia Chen would lead the delegation. "This isn't just about humanity anymore," Olivia told the council. "It's about reshaping a flawed system that has dominated this corner of the galaxy for too long." The conclave's time as unchallenged rulers is ending. What comes next depends on whether they can accept a future where all species stand as equals. As preparations began for the mission, word spread throughout human space. The confrontation had been broadcast on all channels. Humanity had faced down the conclave's military might without firing a shot. It was a victory more powerful than any battle could have been. Across the galaxy, members of the reformist faction gained strength. Change was coming to the stars, whether the traditionalists were ready or not. The human diplomatic vessel Horizon approached the conclave capital world of Axius Prime. Exactly 1 month had passed since General Reyes had made his promise. 3 human warships accompanied the Horizon, maintaining a respectful distance but clearly visible to the planet's defense systems. Inside the Horizon's conference room, Ambassador Olivia Chen reviewed final details with her team. She was 52 years old, with streaks of silver in her black hair and eyes that reflected decades of diplomatic experience. "Remember," she told her team, "we're not here to threaten or intimidate. We're here to build something new." Her chief advisor, Dr. Paul Martinez, nodded. The latest intelligence suggests the reformist faction now holds a slight majority in the council, but the traditionalists won't surrender power easily. "And the preservationists?" Olivia asked, mostly abstaining from votes, Paul replied. "They believe any contact with humans is dangerous." Olivia smiled slightly. "Then we'll have to show them otherwise." The conclave had prepared an elaborate arrival ceremony. By tradition, visiting non-member species were met at the spaceport by junior officials. They would then wait 3 days before being granted an audience with lesser council members. Only after weeks of preliminary discussions would they be permitted to address the full council. Olivia had other plans. When the Horizon docked, the human delegation bypassed the waiting junior officials entirely. Led by Olivia, they walked directly toward the central transit system that connected to the council tower. Ambassador Chen called a flustered Venerabi official, hurrying after them. "This is highly irregular. Protocol requires—" "We're not here for protocol," Olivia replied without stopping. "We're here to address the full council. They are expecting us." The official looked confused. "But the waiting period has been waived," Olivia said firmly. "Please inform the council we will arrive in 20 minutes. News of the humans' approach spread quickly through the council tower. By the time Olivia's delegation reached the council chamber, all 73 representatives were in their seats, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outrage. The council chamber was the physical embodiment of conclave power, a massive amphitheater designed to make visitors feel small and insignificant. The council members sat in elevated positions arranged in concentric circles. At the center of the floor was a small platform where petitioners stood to address the council. When the doors opened, Olivia walked directly to the center of the chamber. Protocol dictated she should wait at the petitioner's position near the entrance until invited forward. Instead, she stood on the central platform reserved for council members. A murmur ran through the assembly at this breach of tradition. "Supreme." Commander Vox, still smarting from his fleet's humiliation, rose to object. "This human has no right to stand on the speaker's platform. It is reserved for full council members only." High Arbiter Zektal, who had led the first contact mission to Earth and now sided with the reformists, raised his hand for silence. "Ambassador Chen," he said carefully, "while we welcome this meeting, there are traditions that have served the conclave for thousands of years." Olivia looked around the chamber, making eye contact with representatives from many species. "The old way of conducting galactic affairs ends today," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Humanity proposes a new galactic charter based on 3 principles: sovereignty for all spacefaring species, technological exchange based on merit rather than seniority, and mutual defense against external threats." The chamber erupted in protests. Several traditionalists stood, demanding she be removed. Olivia waited calmly until Zektal restored order. "These are radical proposals," Zektal said. "The current system has maintained peace for millennia." "Peace for some," Olivia replied. "Subordination for others." We've spoken with many of your member worlds. They do not share your view of conclave benevolence. She activated a small device she held. A holographic display appeared above the central platform, showing a region of space beyond the galaxy's edge. Strange energy patterns pulsed at the boundary. While you've been playing politics, Olivia continued, something is coming. Something the conclave leadership has known about but concealed from member worlds. Complete silence fell over the chamber. Many representatives looked confused, while others, mostly senior council members, appeared shocked. How did you access these readings? Demanded a Draki representative. Those are classified at the highest level. Humanity didn't develop our technologies in isolation, Olivia said. We've been preparing for a threat you've known about but ignored because it didn't threaten your central worlds yet. She expanded the hologram, showing projected movement patterns. The strange energy disturbance was slowly but steadily approaching the galaxy's edge. Your own scientists estimate first contact within 30 years, Olivia said. Yet you've shared this information with only 6 of your 73 member species. Councillor Trell of the avian Lyrisi rose from his seat. The Lyrisi were the youngest species in the conclave, admitted only 90 years earlier. Is this true? He asked, his feathers ruffling with agitation. Has the council hidden this threat from us? High Arbiter Zektal looked uncomfortable. It was deemed necessary to prevent panic while we developed countermeasures. Without informing those who would be first affected, Trell's voice rose. The outer colonies would have no warning, no defenses. Olivia watched as the revelation triggered exactly what she had anticipated, the final breakdown of trust in the old system. One by one, representatives began demanding answers their leaders couldn't provide. In this moment of chaos, Olivia softened her tone. We can continue as adversaries or we can forge something better, she said. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We've barely mastered ruling ourselves. But we won't be ruled either. Together, as equals, we might have a chance against what's coming. Councillor Trell stepped down from his elevated position and joined Olivia on the central platform, a symbolic act of tremendous significance. The Lyrisi stand with humanity, he announced. We propose the formation of a new alliance based on the principles Ambassador Chen has outlined. The chamber fell silent again. Then, slowly, a representative of the fungal Noros joined them on the platform, then the crystalline Phosira. One by one, representatives from species long treated as junior partners by the conclave descended to stand with Olivia. High Arbiter Zektal watched as the old order crumbled before his eyes. After a long moment of consideration, he too stepped down from his position and approached the growing group at the center. Perhaps, he said quietly, it is time for change. By day's end, the Galactic Conclave had dissolved. Its 1,000-year history ended not by war, but by truth. In its place, the Galactic Alliance was born, an association of equals bound not by tradition and hierarchy, but by mutual respect and common purpose. As Olivia signed the new charter alongside representatives from over 50 worlds, she reflected that humans had finally found their place among the stars, not through the expected diplomatic channels, but by being unapologetically human, bold, direct, and unwilling to accept anything less than equal standing in the cosmic community. The next day, as the Horizon prepared to return to Earth with news of their success, Dr. Paul Martinez joined Olivia on the observation deck. Quite an achievement, he said. The oldest political structure in the galaxy transformed in a single day. Olivia watched the stars. It was already crumbling. We just gave it the final push it needed. And now we face this external threat together, Paul said. Yes, Olivia nodded. As equals. That makes all the difference. As their ship pulled away from Axios Prime, new communication channels opened across thousands of worlds. Species that had never been permitted direct contact began sharing knowledge and technologies. Military forces began joint planning for the coming challenge. The galaxy would never be the same again. And perhaps, Olivia thought, that was exactly what it needed.